Good morning, crafters. We are live on the Carnation Crafts brand page. My name's Hannah Roxbury and I am the brand ambassador for Carnation Crafts. And today is an extra special day of Facebook Live demonstrations. So today we're going to bring you 3 different shows of the Crafter Select Garden Safari Mini Friends. So Crafter Select is a web-only launch, so it's exclusive to our website, carnationcrafts.co.uk. And this time around, sorry, that's more for the cat. This time around, we are bringing you the mini garden friends. So we've got mini hedgehog, mini squirrel, mini fox as well. Super cute. The greatest addition if you already have the Garden Safari collection, but really sweet as little creatures in their own right as well. So today's setup, essentially what we're doing is a pick of the day, just for you guys. 3 sets of Facebook Live demonstrations. This one at 9 o'clock, the next one at 3, and the final one at 1. Wow. I will be here at some point during the day. No, so we'll be live at 9 and 1 and 5 today with demonstrations, 3 different cards that we're going to be making using the Garden Friends, the mini Garden Friends. So essentially, this is just a little bit of fun. This is just a chance for you guys, A, to see some demonstrations, B, to get involved. If you want to make along, if you have the sets, if you have Garden Safari and Mini Garden Friends, please do consider crafting along with me, because it would be really awesome to have your company. Morphy Cat is trying to steal all my stuff at the minute, which is not going to be good because he's just eaten one of the die cuts that I need for the demonstration, so we might have to improvise a little bit. So yeah, as you probably know, if you've seen these Facebook Lives before, they are from my spare room, and these things do tend to get a little bit chaotic at times. So, Mini Garden Friends, right, okay, this is going to be the issue. Mini Garden Friends is a wonderful little set. You've got not only the little versions of the larger Garden Friends designs, but also the mats and layers for them as well. So you get the little outside ring of metal. So that can create your mats and layers if you want to create a topper from these. But what it also means is it gives it a little bit more prominence as well. So if you want to be creating something where the detail is really focused on those mini Garden Friends, you've got everything you need. Now, everyone always asks me, what's the size of these things? So I have remembered to write them down. So Sandy, the hedgehog, he is 3.6 by 3.6, so nice mini size in centimetres there. Delta, the fox, is 3.7 by 7 centimetres, and Ash the squirrel is 3.7 by 7.8 centimetres. So they are much minier versions of the larger Garden Friends die sets, which means if you do want to use them in conjunction with your larger designs, the Garden Friends, those can be like little babies, which is really sweet. So I'm going to have a little scroll back through the comments, make sure I'm not missing anything. There's lots of people here already, so thank you so much for joining me. We have got, let's scroll right back to the start because there's loads of people watching. We've got Angie's here from the DT. Hello, Angie. Margaret's here. Judith's here as well, which is fabulous. Diane, Anne-Marie, first live as she's working. That's usually working, I should say. Fiona's here, custodian of the naughty step. We've got Jacqueline. We've got Anna. Lots of people really excited about the Facebook Live. Oh, that's fabulous. And lots of people saying good morning to Morph. Well, Morph is already being a pain. He's currently destroying a reel of tape, which at least has kept him over that side of the room so we can continue with this demonstration, which is kind of handy. Okay, so if you do have any questions as we go through, by all means type them up. I will do my best to try and keep eyes on the comments as well as the cat to try and avoid any mishaps as we go. Jan's here as well. Morning, lovely. So I think let's get straight in. Let's dive into a demonstration. Let me turn that camera around and then squidge down. Okay, so what we're going to be creating is a card using those mini Garden Friends, but we're going to go for quite a masculine finish because a lot of people ask, gents are hard to make for. How do we make cards for men and things like that? Throughout the day, we will be doing different styles of cards as well. So it should be a nice broad design process so you guys can pick and choose your favourite elements. What we've started with is our card base. Now, what we've decided to do for this one, this card base is created using the Garden Safari, the one with the gates, the little card shape design. We hatched this lovely sort of flourish at the top and the nice straight edges as well. As we always do to create our card shapes, we take the outermost mat and layer and we cut it twice. So we're cutting it using a nice heavyweight cardstock. This is 350 GSM. It's our super smooth paper. So it's a cardstock. So it's a nice base onto which we can start constructing our card designs. You'll see on the reverse of the card shape here, we have got a score line about 1/2 inch or so from one side. Nice deep score line there. This creates the fold in our card. So we're just pulling that back. We've got red liner tape on the inside, nice strong and secured tape. We're going to peel that away and then just flatten that off, okay? So that means we've created our card blank, but from nice, strong, secure cardstock as well. So you get a lovely shaped edge to it, but it's going to be unique to your card designs of this type. Rather than working on something that is a plain card blank, you've got something with a little flourish to it as well. For our next mats and layers, we're going to go in with the green, this lovely sort of sage green design from the Garden Safari Perfect Papers. So remember, each one of the Perfect Papers that we designed to go alongside your collections is specifically colour matched. So you'll see that green matches the green in the vignettes for this collection. Same with the flower leaves there as well. It will match in with the tonal colours. It's a really great thing because it means you're not hunting around for coloured cardstock to try and match in. So all the sort of colour theory is done for you. It means you can really just enjoy the making process. What we're going to do is we're going to stick that layer down using finger lift tape. And you see all I'm doing is taking the tape like so and folding the carrier of the tape at an angle over the edge of the cardstock, okay? That creates a tab. So when we come to stick, we've got enough of the carrier still in place to allow us to line up. Just checking all around, making sure that's nice and aligned. We can hold it in place with our hand and then peel away those tabs to stick in place. It just gives you a little bit more confidence when you're sticking your mats and layers that everything's going to stick down nice, straight and even, okay? So the first mat and layer we're going to stick with finger lift tape. For the second mat and layer, this time around we've gone with foam. So we're taking it up just a step to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of height. We're going to stick just the foam either side. This is 1mm foam. You'll see I've got extra little bits of foam down the centre of the card. They purely work as a little strut. They purely work just to hold the middle of the card shape up. So we don't have to worry about trying to get the tape off these ones. They will just sit in place. It's these two side ones that we're going to be sticking in place. Same thing again. Taking the edge over like so. And taking the edge over like so. We can then come to a line. So again, because we haven't got any peel away at the top here, it means we can slip the top into place like so, just as we did before, holding it with our hand and taking away the carrier of the foam tape as well, giving us a nice framing of our mats and layers. So we've got that lovely deep green from the Perfect Papers for Garden Safari into this paper, again colour matched, but this is actually one of the backing papers, the free backing paper downloads from Garden Safari. So this has got a lovely sort of leafy texture all over it, which is great for adding a little bit of design, a little bit of detailing to the back of your card. Now we're going to have some fun. We're going to start building up this design, okay? So we're going to take the trellis. Again, this is from the card shape for the collection. And we're going to go in with our super clear decoupage glue as well. Probably should have done with unsticking my nozzle before we came to air. And I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit. Come on, glue. My well-loved, well-used glue into my palette at the top there. That means that's out of the way. I'm hopefully not going to get it on anything, including the cat. And I'm just going to use one little glue applicator to then just pop a little bit of glue down the length of the trellis here. Now, the reason why I'm using a flat glue here is because I want this section of the die cuts to be nice and flat against the rest of my card design. Okay, so this is not going to stand proud. This is going to be in the background. So it's these little tips and tricks, it's these little ideas where you play around with the perspective, where you add in detail, but choose the height where the detail is going to be, okay? Swing that round, and we're going to stick that just nestled in to those two little points on the card base, and we're just going to smooth that into position. Okay, so again, you've got that nice flat adhesion for the trellis, but that makes it in the background. When we start building the layers on top, that will then start to come to life a little bit further. Just going to grab another one of my flowers, since a certain somebody made off with the one I'd cut just as we went live. My little helper. So another little flower die cut there. These die cuts that I'm using, these designs that I'm using, are all free downloads from the Carnation Crafts website. So when you go on, you can search by collection. So you can search by Mini, Garden Friends, Crafter Select, or you can search by Garden Safari. And essentially what you get is the download. So whenever you're printing your downloads, what I'd recommend to get the best quality settings, the best quality picture that you're going to then cut with your dies, is use, for your mirrored vignettes, which this one is, 120 GSM of our Pro printing paper, okay? We're then printing our vignettes, our artwork, using a high quality print setting and on a matte photo paper. So that matches in with the type of paper we're putting through our printer, the Pro printing paper. Okay, what that means is the printer's going to recognise the type of paper it's working on. It's also going to ensure it really gives a clear definition on the print, a nice high quality print. So you get all these delicate little strokes, you get the depth of colour, you get the design of colour and the detail of colour as well. Those vignettes, all you need to do to access them is go onto the website carnationcrafts.co.uk, click on downloads, click on free downloads, and then you can search either by the collection name or you can search by the collection. There's a little sort of tab, if you like, down the right hand side. You then add your chosen vignette to your basket, take it through checkout completely. Even though it's free, you still take it through checkout. Then a download now tab will appear. If you've put in your email address, they will also be emailed to you. If you've created an account, they will always be on your account. So it's these little things that perhaps we don't get to go into detail on when it comes to television. There are guides on the website as well if you do get stuck. But it is a really simple process. So once you've downloaded, printed on Pro printing paper and then cut, so we're laying the dies over the top and running them through our die cutting machine, you then get these beautiful works of art that we can start adding into the design of our card. Now, one of the really, really useful designs within this collection is this little piece of mud, which sounds like a really silly thing to say. This one is from Cracks and Pots, with the pot plant, tower of pot plants, if you like. And this is great for grounding. So essentially when we look at the card like that, it looks like that trellis is floating in midair and the rest of the design is going to be floating in midair. If we add in a few little things, you'll see. It doesn't really have a story as yet. When we add in the little mud patch, instantly we recognise this as the bottom of the card. Instantly we're recognising that where all of the rest of the design is going to sit, so it's grounding the design. Now I'm going to snip away just a few little bits of the little cobbly mud there. So I'm just going to go in with my scissors and follow the cut line details which are already laid down. Now these little bits that I'm cutting away, it's just to make the patch of earth smaller, so we can have more height in the trellis there. But none of it's going to be wasted. I can use this again, so I can pop it in my stash and use it for something else, or I can continue using it perhaps in this card as well. We'll see how it goes. So that little piece of earth there we're going to stick on, but we're going to use, this time around, Pin Flare 3D glue gel. Just a little bit along the length of the earth. And that is going to raise that little bit of earth up from the back of the card. So you see how you've got this drop shadow at the back. It means when we start adding in, we can tuck things behind as well. So this is just literally the base of the card design as we're getting going. A couple of people late in joining us, that's no trouble at all. Julie's here, that's no problem, Julie. What we always do with our Facebook Lives is upload them afterwards, so you can watch back at your leisure as well, which is fabulous. Sue's here, she says good morning. Remember, if you do have any questions, Christine says good morning too, and Fiona from the DT is here as well. Hello, lovelies. I think I saw Pam as well say hello. Have I put the flowers in the glue? Probably. No. There you go, you can see. Because you're working with those little whirls, the glue sits lower than the rest of the mat. So it means I can put things over, but I'm not getting glue on the back, which for me is incredibly useful because I am an incredibly messy craft. So next up, vines. We want to sort of have the bulk of our design going up one side initially. So we're weighting the card to one side. We're going to go in with our vines. You'll also notice whenever we turn a die cut over, it has that same colour print, that same design, that same imagery on the back of the card, on the back of the design. Reason being is we use mirrored vignettes. Now, we were the first to bring these, first to introduce these, and it means you don't get any white bits, which is fabulous. So when it comes to really sculpting out your leaves, really giving them height and dimension, making them look real, you don't have to worry that anyone's going to look at the side of the card and be distracted by any white areas. And I think that's just fabulous. It further means you can use your leaves, you can use your die cuts, you can use whatever you like in any orientation as well. So for instance, if you have your wellies sort of painted pointing one way and it doesn't quite work for your card, you could switch them over and have them in the other direction as well. It does give you so much more craftability, which is just fabulous. So I'm just tweaking over the edges of the leaves here, just sort of twizzling them around, turning them up if I want to. It just gives you much more height and definition to the leaves there. So remember, whenever we're crafting, always choose to sculpt your die cuts rather than leaving them flat, okay? It just gives them a little bit more of a story. Carol says, I get in an awful mess loading my glue into my syringe. Any tips? Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to your syringes, always make sure before you add any glue that the tip here isn't blocked with any hard glue. So just take a pokey tool and just flick out anything that might be in the top there. With Pinflair especially, you do get these turn keys as well, which just makes it a little bit more controlled as you push the glue into the tube. Let me try and do it. This one I have just filled, so this is probably going to be a disaster if I take the glue out. Yeah, it's not gonna work. I don't think I've got one empty enough. Let's see. No, I haven't got one empty enough. But essentially what you do, you pull back the syringe, put the nozzle of the Pinflair right down into and slowly turn. As you pull the tube of glue away, sort of swipe it on the edge, so you can sort of swipe off any excess flow on the edge of the syringe, and then wait a little bit so the glue settles before you put the plunger back in, okay? Just do it slowly is the key, and make sure that little nozzle is unblocked before you come to use it. So again, we're gonna give that a little bit of life. Now, if you are unsure about using Pinflair, you can absolutely use foam pads just in the centers of the leaves to give them a little bit of height. So where we've given the leaves that shape, we're adding in the Pinflair glue gel just to give that a little bit more depth. It will hold it in place. I have to say I do prefer Pinflair because it means you get different heights. You've got a little bit more control, whereas foam pad will just give you one height unless you stick 2 or 3 down. But it's personal preference, really. It's whatever you prefer working with. So when we stick the vines down, we're grounding them in that earth that we've put down, and we're letting them trail up the trellis there. So you can already see how we're getting a really nice background design to this little project. In the foreground, we're going to have our wellies, and we're going to have our flowers, and we're going to have our spades. So it's a little bit of a men's card there, sort of someone who loves their gardening perhaps, but it's just about positioning. So before we commit to sticking anything, we can always just go in with our designs, make sure we're happy with how they're sitting. you kind of want to build the look of someone who's perhaps at the allotment. They've gone in for the first day after winter. They want to turn over the ground. They want to put the new seeds in. So you've got this kind of feeling of a little bit of overgrowth. That's perfect. A little bit of wild going on here. So we're adding in these designs. Once we've figured out our positioning, remember we're keeping a lot of white space over this side. We're bulking the card out to the other side there. We can start layering up. Now the wellies are fabulous. You'll notice I've already cut away the top section of this side of the welly. You'll see why in just a moment. But again, we're not going to put these flat. So we're taking the end of our ball pokey tool, or you can use a ball tool. And wherever the sort of areas where the wellies would be sticking out, so along the middle section here of the welly, and then especially proud on those little toes there as well, we're rounding that off. We're giving it a lot of height and dimension, and it just brings those wellies to life. Same thing again, in with pin flare or foam pads should you prefer. Loading up the toe of the boot there, and then a little bit down the length. So pin flare is great because you get this chance to wiggle room. So if you put something down in the wrong place, we can always adjust later on. Same with that spade. Let's give that a little bit of shaping. Let's just, again, thumb and forefinger, you can just round those off. And of course with the spade, this time I'm going to go in from the front because the spade would curve round like so. This time we can curve like so, and perhaps even take our pokey tool into that little area there and just squidge the paper around. Now you're working with our Pro Printing paper, and it will hold the detail, it will hold the shape that you're giving it because you've got those cut line details in place. So just gently lift up and along, okay? You see how you're building this design, you're building this story in. Pin flare again. The great thing about it is you don't need too much. And we're just gonna bit of detailing. Sorry if anyone blacked out there, my internet went down by the looks of it, but hopefully we're back. I think we are, that's fine. So next up, our little flowers to one side. You see how, again, you're popping the flowers into that earth. You're giving it the look of a little bit of a wild garden here. Same again with the florals. So we can take our pokey tool and actually really twizzle those grasses around. Same with the wheat there, or the ear of grass there. Giving those florals, firstly, a little shaping from the reverse of the die cut. Oh, sorry, let me do it on camera. That would help, wouldn't it? And then just then going in with our pokey tool and squidging it. So you're lifting the petals around again. You see how much of a difference it makes? It really just brings those florals to life. Again, pin flare, but you can use foam pads should you wish. And we're just getting it into the centers of those florals, just so it's going to hold that die cut in place, and we're overlapping. So we're keeping the overall design contained within the frame that we've created, but you're giving it an awful lot of depth, you're giving it an awful lot of interest to add in. So we're just going to squidge those flowers down so the glue catches. But essentially what we're creating is just this wonderful little story, this wonderful little nestled in look to the card design. But you see how quickly these things build. If you've got sort of a rainy afternoon and you're stuck for something to do, what I would wholeheartedly recommend is use your favourite collection and just cut. Just have a whole stash of vignettes ready to go, because it's going to be fabulous to have that little collection to draw from. Here are our little mini babies, our little baby friends here from the Crafter Select collection. These are just adorable. Now we're going to have a little bit of fun with these, okay? So these are going to be just inside our card, like a proper little nature reserve, if you like, but we're going to pop them in behind things. So it gives us a little bit of wiggle room with the glue gel that we're working with. But again, we want to shape them. So we're going to start with Sandy the Hedgehog. And he's going to be nice, full, round tummy, gorgeous, 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 lovely look to him. What I've done with him, I've cut down details and just cut around, just freed off a couple of the pips from around his little snout there, from around his little mouth, okay? Because when we come to stick him, he is actually going to be poking his little head over the edge of the welly there. So that's why we cut away the top of that welly. And look how well he nestles in. Isn't that just adorable? So he's there. He's kind of nestled into the boot. He's made a little home in there. He's quite warm and happy, which is just the cutest little things. You could leave it at that, but I think let's put all three of our little animal friends on here. So next up we have got Ash the squirrel. Same thing again. We're going to round him off. We're going to give him a fat little belly. He looks like the little cheeky chappy of the group, doesn't he? He's got a little mischievous look, which I just adore. So we're just squidging his head back as well, letting that tail be nice and full and puffy. And he's going to be sat off to one side behind the florals. So again, you've got time to work with this. Little squidgy glue all the way along. And let's just lift. And I think this is what the beauty of this kind of collection is. You can have them just so they're peeping out like they would do in nature, because you're not sort of going to wander in a garden and a squirrel's just going to be, well, I mean, you might. It depends on your squirrels. Squirrel's not going to be like sat just in the middle of the lawn waiting for you. You know, they have this kind of timid quality, don't they? And I think it's so lovely to be able to reflect that in the card design. So little Ash the squirrel, he's going to be sat behind the florals there, just in front of the boots. But again, you're giving this sense of perspective of where they are. We've grounded him, so he's sitting at the same level as the boots as well, just so the card makes a little bit more sense. I wanted to break up the metal on the spade there as well. So we're going to add in just kind of our little grasses from the Wild Blooms die set, which comes with the florals as well, and the ivy. Now, because we've got the mirrored, we could use it round that way, but what I'd like is that long line reaching up the side of this card as well. So it gives you this kind of U shape, if you like, all right? So it's higher on one side, but it gives you this sense that the card travels around. So those little grasses, again, a little bit of white glue, I think, on these. Not too much, it's just to hold the glue in place. And just smooth away. Make sure that over the top of the metal. Now I can choose any direction I want because I've got that mirrored vignette. I've got that ability to choose the direction of the grasses there. And you see how now it's not so obvious you've got a spade there. It's all in the background and it just softens that corner as well. That's where Delta, the fox, comes in. So he's going to be sat proud because he's the bold one of the group. He's going to be in charge in the front. So he's got his little friends in the background. They're a little bit more shy. You know, you've got the little squirrel hiding behind the flowers, the little hedgehog hiding behind or in the welly boots even. And Delta's going to be out there proud in front of everything, okay? So again, we go in and shape. Now, normally on air, what you see is I might shape one or two and everything else I've pre-shaped. Having the fun of a Facebook Live means we can go in and do everything step by step as well. So just rounding off our proud little front of our beautiful fox here and his back, and of course his beautiful tail, and then just shaping the front so you've got that sort of definition between the body of the fox and the head. And again, little bit of pin flare in like so. Never be afraid to cover up your die cuts. In nature, things would be covered up. In nature, everything would be detailed like so. So you've got that little hint of the grass coming out around the fox, but it just gives you this very, very natural quality to the card design. Now let's finish. Let's finish with a sentiment. I dig you in this green sort of wooden finish, and we're going to go in with our little moth as well. So this sentiment comes with the welly boots and the spade, and I think it's a nice sentiment. It's kind of a fun sentiment if you are trying to make cards for chaps. You know, this is a great way to go. We're going to stick that to the background of the card, so just taking away the excess of my glue and just popping that along the sentiment there as well. We want it flat against the background of the card, so this is perfect. And we're going to have that up in that space. So this is one of the great reasons why you can leave white space on your cards, because it makes the sentiment pop. It makes the sentiment come to life. You've got that clear space around it. So when anyone who comes to read it, you've got that clear definition. It's not sort of lost in the tangle of the design, the story that we're doing. It's got its own space to breathe up there. Our final flourish, we're going to go in with our little moth from the Garden Glimmers collection. But again, we're going to sculpt this. So we're going to take our poker tool and just tweak those wings right up around. So poker tool along the body and just then add those wings up. Again, because of those mirrored vignettes, you haven't got that white on the other side. It really does make a huge difference to our die cutting, to our card shapes and our looks, because you're not getting any distraction from the white. We're just folding up those wings like so, and then just tweaking them over to soften the edge of them. Our little moth is going to have landed on our sentiment, but you see how by adding in that colour, and this is where Carnation Crafts are incredibly clever, you then get that balance. So you've got this sort of line from the purple of the moth to the purple of the handle, so the colours match, into the finish of the purple of the flower. It's all about balancing the designs. So we've got the balance coming around in the sweeping shape we've created, and the negative space up here, and then you've got that again, that little punctuation, if you like, of the colour leading across as well in a graduation. It's these little things, it's these little elements where the colours work together that really, really bring those cards to life that you're creating. Little bit of pin flare just along the body of the little moth there, and isn't that sweet? That is our finished card. Really perfect. Perhaps you've got a friend who just loves gardening. Perhaps you've got a friend who has their own allotment. You know, you can tweak these, you can make these your own, but it tells a wonderful story. Again, beautiful height to these cards, but not too over the top. Isn't that lovely? So we do have more shows coming up, one at 1 o'clock, one at 5 o'clock. But what I'm going to do is just swing the camera around. Hopefully, oh, that's very close. And just take a look, because the DT have been fabulous and also sent in some designs as well. So that's just one way. So this is the finished card. Let me swizzle it around so you can see. That's the card we have just created for a nice chap in our lives with the sentiment I dig you, using the storytelling of the mini garden friends from the Crafters Select design. Really, really sweet, but easy to put together. There's nothing scary in this. Let's take a look at some of the DT cards as well, because they are just fabulous. Just so you can see, there's so many different ways of using these. This one, created by Janine. Again, you've got the trio. They look like a little naughty gang, don't they, of little animals who just want to be friends. Adding so much life to your garden, the safari collection there. Again, Janine's done this same sort of thing where you're building the look. So she's cut that wild blooms a couple of times and added it in. So she's cut away flowers from it. She's nestled the pots in there, pots and cracks. She's got the sort of trail of leaves leading up to the corner. Again, weighted that design to one corner, then telling the story through that aperture to the centre as well. Now, Janine has used another one of those free backing papers available from the Garden Safari collection, but rather than just sticking the little friends here just to the centre, she's again built that story where you've got the grasses behind, you've got the leaves behind. It looks like you are venturing into a garden. And then look how you can add little details in, have some of the leaves escaping over the front of the aperture. It just looks like a nice sort of wild garden that's just overgrown, a secret garden, if you like. What about using something like this? This is, I think Tina made this one. Isn't it cute? So you can actually play around with the perspective. We've got Sandy the Squirrel, Sandy the Hedgehog here on the Garden Reflections frame. So we've created the background of the card blank from the Garden Reflections frame. And this time around, just using one of the grasses, one of the flowers there, hedgehog in the front. Again, super, super pretty. How about we go in with just a squirrel this time? I'm creating a little bit of a design there. This is Sandra's. So a few of the little ladybugs there from Garden Glimmers. You've got the moth, you've got the ivy in there as well. Again, creating this look of the wilderness. Or how about something like this? Again, this is from Janine. Thank you, Janine. Janine's used the same layout we've done on that card there with the base card and the trellis and the ivy and things. But look how well those Crafter Select mini garden friends work with the original garden friends. You've got Mummy Fox in the background there with her two cubs. Look, they just work so, so beautifully. So this could be great as like a new mum card or congratulations on your twins card. This one says enjoy your birthday. So yeah, again, a really, really lovely way of using those card designs. And again, Janine's done the over the edge using the mats and layers from that vine as well. So a few different ways of using. Do join us at 1 o'clock today for another demonstration. For the next one, what we'll be doing is using equinox blooms. So another one of our collections, and what we set out this morning on the Freebie Friday, we've updated the colourways for Mini Garden Friends to include a Equinox Blooms version as well. So you'll see that this afternoon. And then this evening, we will be doing an easel card with Garden Safari 2. So yeah, do tune in again at 1, where we will be doing another demonstration. If you've got anything you'd like to ask, you type it up in the comments. I will go through them after the live, and we will hopefully see you at 1 o'clock today. See you later. Bye.